Bruh, let me ask you something. If the federal government has a 99%, they have a 99% conviction rate. You think they can't find nothing in Diddy?
I have learned from sources that investigators have found several weapons inside his homes. Several. They also have found video.
Prince Andrew and the former President Bill Clinton have been named in newly released court documents relating to the sex offender Jeffrey.
Sean Diddy Combs has a tight inner circle, including his right-hand woman, Kristina Khorram. So who is she and why is she named in a lawsuit by a former producer for Combs?
There's a great woman behind every great man, or so they say. It might be true for Sean Puffy Combs, whose billion-dollar empire came crashing down following a federal investigation for sex trafficking. It's not looking good for the bad boy, and the first to fall with him will be his right-hand woman and enabler, the elusive Kristina Corum. When we think of the women behind great men, it's not always their wives. Sometimes it's their chief of staff, and that was the case for the great P. Diddy, music mogul and legendary rapper. Of course, that was until a few months ago. Diddy was slapped with multiple lawsuits, starting with his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who was with him for 8 years.
But things changed for him last November when Cassie Ventura, known publicly as the singer Cassie, filed a bombshell civil lawsuit against Diddy, alleging he abused her for years. Cassie accused Diddy of raping her, physically assaulting her, forcing her to have sex with prostitutes, and even recording it.
The $30 million lawsuit turned out to be the least of his troubles, with more and more women suing him hefty charges like gang rape and sex trafficking.
Liza says Diddy raped her and her friend that night. Days later, Liza alleges Diddy came to the place where she was staying. He was, quote, irate and began assaulting and choking Liza Gardner to the point videos. When they finally went out on a date, Diddy allegedly, quote, intentionally drugged her, resulting in her being in a physical state where she could not independently stand or walk. After that, she alleges Diddy raped her and recorded it all on video.
No, not a good look for a rapper trying to build a good reputation off of giving his former artists their publishing rights back.
You mentioned Mace, and recently you said that you were giving the artists back their publishing.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that?
It was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was the right thing to do, and it's the frequency that I'm in, and it's the love frequency. It's called reassigned. It's not, I didn't give nobody anything. It's just reassigning because of the contract. The contracts and everything is up to par. You don't have to. Business is business. You don't have to change the contract.
What do you say to the people who say they feel like the publishing has no value now and you've already made all your money off it, so now you want to give it back because it's not really worth anything?
Yeah, I mean, that's just not the truth. Whatever your value of your publishing is, that's the value of your publishing.
A lot of eyebrows were raised, with former Danity Kane member Aubrey O'Day speaking out in particular.
When the deal is, when this benevolent man who's just now had a change of heart and has decided to pay us as talent and also as writers, we're credited with publishing. So basically, we only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900, some in the hundreds, okay? And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release.
That seems like a move that could have been from his right-hand woman's book, who seems to be a force to be reckoned with despite her relatively obscure reputation. Let's start with exactly who Kristina Corum is. Well, according to her now-deleted LinkedIn page, she's a high-powered executive with a long list of impressive credentials. Some of these companies include AOL, Burberry, Gen Art, and Paramount. Quite the catalog. She has a bachelor's degree in business and French from North Carolina State University, and obviously had all the tricks in the book needed to move up in the industry. Her rise to prominence in Combs Enterprises is pretty impressive. She started out as a senior executive liaison at Bad Boy Entertainment in July 2013. She flew through the ranks and ended up as Puffy's chief of staff in 2020.
Became Combs' day-to-day manager. later becoming director for the officer of the chairman. And the chairman, of course, is Diddy. She was promoted to Diddy's chief of staff back in 2020, and she's very important to him. Combs has even written about her on.
Her importance for the hip-hop mogul can't be underestimated, seeing as he made a now-deleted post wishing her a happy birthday on Instagram with a picture of the two in 2020.
In another post, Diddy wrote, "Happy birthday to my ace Boon Coon, my right hand, my day-to-day manager that keeps my world twirling, and she's always got my back. She makes sure that I smile every day and I don't go into those dark places. Today is your day. It's your mother effing birthday. Go KK. It's your birthday. Love you at Kristina Khorram." Combs clearly values Kristina Khorram's work and his relationship with.
If that isn't an indication of her importance, he also posted on Facebook in January 2021. It was a picture of her with a very enthusiastic caption.
Important to him. Combs has even written about her on social media. Meet Kristina Corum, chief of staff at Combs Enterprises. Kristina, aka KK, keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get S-word done. Don't know how I'd function without.
As some have pointed out, KK is probably an integral part of Diddy's network.
His resources and the amount of staff that work under him and his companies does not do his own quote-unquote dirty work, okay? A person with resources will not do their own dirty work.
But why is she being called the Ghislaine to his Epstein? And what does she have to do with turning Puffy Combs into a Hollywood scapegoat? If you don't remember what went down with John Epstein, you must have been living under a rock. And it was hard to take his name away from that of his longtime friend and associate, socialite Gizan Maxwell.
Against Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime friend and associate, who is now serving 20 years in prison for crimes that she committed with him. And yes, these documents have references to several of the very high-profile people that we know were associates of Jeffrey Epstein over the years.
She covered for him multiple times, eventually ending up in jail to pay for her crimes. And people have been drawing parallels in the Epstein and Diddy case since everything started. Even the esteemed British royals are involved in both cases. The Epstein case was famously a dark mark on their family history after Queen Elizabeth II's second son, Prince Andrew, was revealed to be involved with the offender.
There are more than 60 references to Prince Andrew. There's the repeating of at least one allegation against him that in the past Buckingham Palace has described as categorically untrue.
Meanwhile, producer Rodney Jones's lawsuit against the mogul names Prince Harry.
Prince Harry's name has been mentioned in court documents related to allegations Sean Diddy Combs sexually abused multiple people. A $30 million lawsuit brought by record producer Rodney Jones claims Diddy's affiliation with high-profile people such as Prince Harry gave his actions legitimacy. The American hip-hop mogul's homes have been raided by authorities in relation to the allegations. Mr. Jones' lawyers argued guests attended sex trafficking parties because of his access to high-level celebrities. There is no suggestion, though, Prince Harry was involved in any of Sean Combs' alleged wrongdoing.
Maxwell stood by her sex trafficking partner till the end, even claiming that Epstein was murdered rather than dying by suicide, as reported in an interview with Talk TV.
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did. I believe that he was murdered. Well, I was shocked. And I wondered how it had happened. Because as far as I was concerned, he was going to... I was sure he was going to appeal.
Though other associates have also expressed skepticism, Maxwell's thoughts aren't exactly trustworthy.
Well, a couple of things go through my mind when I listen to that clip. First and foremost, Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, you may remember, had been found dead after falling from his yacht in what was ruled an accident. She didn't believe that then either. She thought her father was killed. So there's a little bit of biographical background here.
No matter the truth, Ghislaine enabled many of Epstein's crimes, and the same can be said of Christina Corum. Even if she wasn't working with Diddy in the timeframes of his earlier lawsuits, she was certainly there when he was dating Cassie. And as her longtime friend revealed, the singer went through a lot under Puffy's control.
Did witness verbal abuse on more than one occasion, one of which took place during Cassie's 29th birthday in 2015. Red says Diddy showed up at karaoke, where Cassie and a group of friends were celebrating.
So he had her back into the corner, and he was like cussing her out with his hand in her face.
Later that night, Red, who was staying at Cassie's home, says she awoke to screaming.
He's standing in the living room area, and she's there, and he was like, emotional singing, there you are. And I just was like, oh, he's talking to me. And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside. And I remember looking in his eyes, and I said to him, what did y'all do?
She also revealed details of the rapper's now infamous freak-offs.
That he would hire these sex workers, and they would have, sex with her or whatever, and he would watch and tell them what to do.
In her lawsuit, Cassie alleges she was forced to participate in freak-offs throughout her relationship with Diddy. Red learning recently one horrific detail from Cassie.
She told me the only time he was willing to do anything or work on her music, go through any plans, any of that, was when she had a freak-off. So all of our music, all my work, to find out that I spent all these years writing these songs for him to rape my friend to, is just disgusting.
And if there's any doubt as to whether Corum was deeply involved in everything Combs did, you can take it from his baby mama, Misa Hilton. Back when her son Justin Combs was arrested for a DUI, she lost her cool and posted a few choice words for the rapper on her Instagram story. And she called out Corum by writing, "And Kristina, if you try to handle me again, I will go straight across your head. Stay out of the way. You are a nice person. Everyone is tough until it's time to be tough." And then looks like the chief of staff said something she didn't like. It's understandable that Hilton is a bit touchy-feely when it comes to Diddy's moves. Misa had even been a catalyst for a feud between him and Suge Knight that eventually ended with both Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls getting murdered.
Puff got mad because Wolf showed him a picture that was in a magazine of Suge Knight and Misa. Suge was hugging Misa, and while she had Justin in her arm, and under the capture, the picture said, "What the East Coast won't take care of, the West Coast will." Now, what that meant to me was this, because I knew what the deal was. Misa was out there working, because Mary is a girl. Suge Knight had just saved Mary from that Uptown Records shit. You know what I mean? He had just saved Mary from that. So Misa's out there working because she gotta work, you understand? She having problems with Puff because Puff don't want to pay her the child support that she need for Justin. So she out there trying to make deals, do her get up business together. She gotta eat, bruh.
And Diddy once beat her up so hard she tried to run under a car, which makes Cassie's stories seem likely to be true.
Eric Sermon I think he dropped her off at one time. You know what I mean? He dropped her off, and I think either Puff heard about it or seen it. And whatever he was, he put hands on her. To the point where is that nobody was helping her. Now, this is a story that was told to me, bro, by somebody who was there. You know what I'm saying? And they said he put hands on her. Misa was running from him so hard, trying to get away from him, she tried to crawl up under a car.
Addressing one of his lawsuits, ex-bodyguard Gene Deal also called Diddy desperate for preying on a 17-year-old girl.
Them to do that, man, that's some real thirsty, desperate shit. That's some real thirsty, desperate shit for them to fly a 17-year-old girl, on a G5. They was flying G5 and G4 jets back then. All the way to New York to gang rape her in the studio.
Meanwhile, Kristina was one of the first people to rush to Diddy's aid when news of Cassie's lawsuit first broke. It wouldn't be a surprise if she was the one who arranged the alleged staged video of him outside his Miami phone looking worried. more suspicious because soon after, a video of her sitting with Combs and showing something apparently distressing on his phone started circulating.
His chief of staff, Kristina Khorram. During the encounter, Khorram showed Combs something on his cell phone, prompting the musician to lie down on an outdoor couch. Combs was also seen taking a lengthy phone call and pacing around.
You know, the lawsuit is settled. And then TMZ shows a video of Diddy sitting with Kristina. This video right here. Diddy was sitting with Kristina. She was in a robe. And I'm like, wow. The woman I was looking up is sitting next to Diddy after he just settled this lawsuit.
If all that wasn't enough, there's also the fact that Kristina was named multiple times in the Lil Rod lawsuit. The producer alleged that Corum instructed her staff to procure drugs for Combs' consumption.
A footnote in the lawsuit that Lil Rod filed says, Defendant Corum instructed her staff, Brendan Paul, Frankie Santella, and Moy Bond, to spike bottles of champagne with X.
It continues to get worse when the producer gets to the part where he was sexually harassed by Diddy.
Lil Rod claims he complained to Corum about sexual advances from Combs, and she responded, Sean will be Sean, and downplayed Combs groping him as horseplay, stating, he's just showing that he likes you. Jones also called Corum the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs' Jeffrey Epstein.
She also instructed people to walk around the house with drugs,
claiming she required employees to walk around with fanny packs of cocaine, GHB, and ecstasy to keep Combs high, and much more.
The lawsuit also stated that Kristina Corum, along with Diddy, his son Justin, and other staff were also involved in managing a RICO enterprise by using drugs, soliciting sex workers, and forcing musicians to work for them.
Well, in my view is you have a potential, they did a search warrant, the federal government did a search warrant, Southern District of New York. That is bad in itself because Southern District of New York is one of the top 3 or 4 U.S. attorney's offices in the country. That is very bad for Mr. Combs and the other defendant and Ms. Corum. The second thing is the federal charges that they're probably investigating are a criminal RICO, money laundering, a Mann Act violation, which involves sex trafficking, interstate transport of minors. It could involve a lot of charges.
She was even said to have instructed employees to spike drinks at parties where minors were present. Khorram would face hefty charges if this was to be proven true.
Well, it's part of the sex trafficking, and when it involves minors, that takes it up a notch. And it's either a separate federal statute or it's a sentencing enhancement. But when you're engaging in illegal conduct, if you're engaging in illegal conduct involving a minor, okay, in the context of sex trafficking, I can tell you this from my experience, that is like steroids and rocket fuel for an aggressive prosecutor. And as I said at the beginning,
and talking of her being the Maxwell to Puffy's Epstein, aiding and abetting crimes for Puffy wouldn't go down well for her either.
Big problem for Ms. Corum by being compared to Ghislaine Maxwell. Number one, you have the same district, the Southern District of New York, investigating Mr. Combs and Mr. Corum too, Ms. Corum. So the Southern District of New York already has a template for an indictment. Essentially, all you do is change the name. But I'm sure the same scheme, the same statutes, it's just take this template, this indictment that was used for Miss Maxwell, and probably the same prosecutors are going to take it and insert Mr. Combs and Miss Corum, and
she might soon be indicted, and her troubles will only get worse if that happens.
That there will be a federal indictment, if I had to bet money, by the Southern District of New York in probably September or October of this year. And I would be shocked if it doesn't include Mr. Combs and Miss Corum.
But both Combs and Corum have retreated into their shells for now, denying every allegation against them.
Combs is denying all of this. He's saying he has evidence through his attorney to refute Lil Rod's allegations. That means that, Kristina Corum is basically denying it as well, but she doesn't have an attorney listed, so we just wanted to know.
Is Corum going to speak up? Or will she keep hiding behind Diddy's back? Let's wait and see. And that's it for now. Don't forget to tell us what you think in the comments below. For more updates, hit the bell icon.